Hello, my beautiful family. Thank you for being here with me. We're about to read the second last chapter of As a Human Thinketh. There's only 2 left, and this is it. This is the second last one, so we'll get straight into it. This chapter is called The Thought Factor in Achievement. All that one achieves and all that one fails to achieve is the direct result of one's own thoughts. In a justly ordered universe, when loss of peace, equipoise would mean total destruction, our individual responsibility must be absolute. Our purpose, where we're heading, the path of finding out who we are must be direct towards purpose. That must be absolute, the responsibility that aligns with that. Our weakness and strength, purity and impurity are our own and no one else's. They are brought about by ourselves and not by another. And they can only be altered by ourselves and never by another. Our condition is also our own and not another's. We can't blame any condition of our life, however much it seems external, on anything other than ourselves. Because there's a tricky thing about the world. The internal and the external seem so separate. Our condition is our own, no one else's. Our suffering and happiness evolve from ourselves. As we think, so we are. And so we continue to think, so we will remain. Someone who is strong cannot help someone weaker unless the weaker is willing to be helped. Even then, the weak must become strong of himself. By his own efforts, he must develop the strength which he admires in the other. It's like if you plant a seed in, say, summer that's supposed to be planted in winter, and it ends up not germinating. And then if you then go and plant that same seed in winter and it works, it's not because you've given it some special power and now this time it's working. It's just nature going according to plan. There is a absoluteness and a There was a forward moving nature. Nature is forward moving, and it doesn't really require our thoughts about whether it's going well or not for it to proceed. And therefore, none of us makes anything particularly happen. A weaker man doesn't make a stronger man weak. If we water a plant when it's ready to be watered, it takes up the water and it grows. It's no one making anyone stronger. It's just the production of nature. It's ecology. It's really ecology in the most modern word. It has been usual for one to think and to say, "Many are slaves because one is the oppressor. Let us hate the oppressor." Now, however, there is amongst an increasingly few a tendency to reverse this judgment and to say, "One is an oppressor because they are slaves. Let us display. One is an oppressor because many are slaves. Let us despise the slaves." I'm not sure what James is getting at here. The truth is, let me read that again. Many men are slaves because one is an oppressor. Let us hate the oppressor. Now, however, some increasing few are having the tendency to reverse this judgment and say, "One man is an oppressor because many men are slaves. Let us despise the slaves." The truth is that oppressor and slave are cooperators in ignorance. Cooperators in ignorance, okay. And while seeming to afflict each other and are in reality afflicting themselves. A perfect knowledge perceives the action of law in the weakness of the oppressed and the misapplied power of the oppressor. A perfect love, seeing the suffering which both states entail, oppressor and oppressed, condemns neither, and a perfect compassion embraces both the oppressor and oppressed. That's some Buddha Jesus level type shit. compassion and forgiveness for both the oppressor and the oppressed in absolute equality. I don't expect everyone to ride along with that. I don't remember getting it the first couple of times I read it, to be honest. He who has conquered weakness and has put away all selfish thoughts belongs neither to oppressor nor oppressed. One is free. I just have a mind blank. I'm not sure if I've read out this chapter, but the chapter is the thought factor in achievement. We'll continue. One can only rise, conquer, and achieve by lifting up one's thoughts. He will only remain weak and abject and miserable by refusing to lift up his thoughts. Before one can achieve anything, even in worldly things, he must lift thoughts above slavish animal indulgence. One may not, in order to succeed, give up all animality and selfishness by any means, but a portion of it must at least be sacrificed. A man whose first thought is bestial indulgence could neither think clearly nor plan methodically. That's the important part. Planning methodically and seeing clearly, even more so, is so much harder than we say it to be. Oh, just think clearly. That's very hard. Especially in our day and age. TikTok, fuck that cunt. Anyway, he could not find and develop his latest resources and would fail in any undertaking. That is, someone who cannot clearly see themselves nor plan methodically. Not having commenced to manfully, let's say, not having commenced to fully control one's thoughts, one is not in any position to control affairs nor to adopt any serious responsibilities. Give me a moment. There's a knock at the door and I'll finish this off. I'm gonna wait for that. Alright, where was I? Not having commenced to fully control our thoughts, we are not in any position to control affairs and to adopt serious responsibility. Honestly, that's so on point. I'm going to highlight that. No, I'm not. Oh, but it's so on point. You should highlight it if you have a highlighter near you in your book. Not having commenced to fully control our thoughts, we are not in any position to control affairs and adopt serious responsibility. If we want to have serious responsibilities, we have to have control over our thoughts. That's the most basic I can put it. We are not fit to act independently nor stand alone. We are limited only by the thoughts through which we choose. There can be no progress, no achievement without sacrifice. And our sacrifice's worldly success will be in the measure that we sacrifice our confused animal thoughts and fix our mind on the development of our plans and the strengthening of our resolution and self-reliance. The higher we lift our thoughts, the more fully and upright and righteous we will become. The greater will be our success, and the more blessed and enduring will be our achievements. The universe does not favor the greedy, the dishonest, the vicious, although on mere surface it may sometimes appear to do so. It helps the honest, the magnanimous, the virtuous. All the great teachers of the ages have declared in varying forms, and to prove and know it, a man has to but persist in making himself more and more virtuous by lifting up his thoughts from the worldly concerns. Intellectual achievements are the result of thought consecrated to this. Alright, I remember reading this priorly. This bit, as it starts right here, this paragraph kind of confuses me, but we'll go with it. Intellectual achievements are the result of thought consecrated to the search for knowledge. What does consecrated mean? Give me a moment. Define consecrated. I feel it means like binding two things together. That's what I'm feeling in my head. Define like something spiritual or holy with something physical. Define consecrate. Make or declare something sacred. Okay, so it's taking something physical and giving it like a sacred purpose. Like with the Vajra. I don't know if I explained the Vajra to you guys, but it's over there. Oh wait, no, it's in the other house. Never mind. So, intellectual achievements are the result of thought consecrated to the search of knowledge. So our thought must be aligned with the search for knowledge always. Also for the beautiful and true in nature and life. Such achievements may be sometimes connected with vanity and ambition, but they are not the outcome of those characteristics. They are the natural outgrowth of long and arduous effort, and of pure and unselfish thoughts. Spiritual achievements are the consummation of holy aspirations. Spiritual achievements are the consummation, the reward, the byproduct of holy aspirations. One who lives constantly in the conception of noble and lofty thoughts, who dwells upon all that is pure and unselfish, will, as surely as the sun reaches its zenith and the moon its full, become wise and noble in character and rise into a position of influence and blessedness. Achievement of whatever kind is the crown of effort, the diadem of thought. I remember I looked up diadem before. It's just like very fancy jewel. Like the most beautiful jewel type concept. Hey, shout out if you've listened to One at All. Meowth kind of has a diadem, his little coin on his head. By the aid of self-control, resolution, purity, righteousness, and well-directed thought, we ascend. By the aid of animality, indolence, impurity, corruption, and confusion of thought, we all descend. We may rise to high success in the world and even to lofty altitudes in the spiritual realm, and again descend into weakness and wretchedness by allowing arrogant, selfish, and corrupt thoughts to take possession of ourselves. Victories attained by right thought can only be maintained by watchfulness, keen watchfulness. That's a lot of what Horus was to do within the Egyptian culture. They were aware of how important it was to be aware, to be watching, to be seeing, to keeping your eye on what's important. Many will give way when success is assured and rapidly fall back into failure due to lacking watchfulness. All achievements, whether in business, intellectual, or spiritual worlds, are the result of definite, directed thought, governed by the same law as are and the same method. Governed by the same law and are of the same method. They're governed of the same law and the same method. The only difference lies in the object of attainment. One who would accomplish much. Oh, well, yeah, I remember this one. I said it wrong, so I'll say it again. Actually, I'll say that whole last bit again because I'm not sure if I said it right. They might be important considering they're the last two sentences of it. 2 paragraphs. All achievements, whether in the business, intellectual, or spiritual world, so all achievements in any world are the result of definitely directed thought, focused thought. All achievements in any world are the result of focused thought, and are governed by the same law and are of the same method. So we're trying to say that this directed thought that law pervades all these worlds, whether it be spiritual, intellectual. If we have that ability of directed thought, of awareness, then it doesn't matter what the field. The only difference lies in the object of attainment. If we wish to accomplish little, we must sacrifice little. But if we would wish to achieve greatly, we must sacrifice greatly. That's the end of that chapter. That's an important part. And I feel like I kind of butchered it. I'll say it one more time because it's so important. One who would accomplish little must sacrifice little. One who would achieve much must sacrifice much. One who would attain highly must sacrifice greatly. How much are we sacrificing? Really sitting here comfortable every day, eating Cheetos, drinking chocolate milk every day, like the sacrifice that we have to make really is in direct proportion to how much we're going to impact any world, whether that be our business world, if we're stuck in that one, whether that be our intellectual world, if we want to be how smart, philosophical, whether it's the music world, whether it's the spiritual world. None of it will get anywhere without an awareness of our mind and an ability to focus that. So that is the end of the thought factor in achievement. The second last chapter in As a Human Thinketh by James Allen. We only have one chapter left, and then I'm reading you the Dhammapada. Actually, no, next I'm reading you this one here. It's called Uzumaki. It's a manga. I'm going to read that out to you and point out. No, I'm just joking. It's not mine. I'm going to read you the second last chapter, Visions and Ideals. Oh, actually, there's Serenity after this. Okay, 2 more chapters. That was the third last chapter. There's 2 more chapters coming, and then I'm reading the Dhammapada. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. It really means a lot that this learning stuff is actually, you appreciate it, because I really like rereading it. It makes me, like, there was 2 times in that reading just now where I reread it, and for the first time I kind of got it. Sometimes you read things many times and there are parts of it you don't get, but you just kind of have to evolve as a person to be able to see what's right in front of you. Anyway, I love you so much. Raze family forever. Oh, that's the wrong button.